Good morning. Thank you for being here. Before I start, I want to sincerely thank Deputy Secretary Adeyemo for being here and for the work that the U.S. Treasury Department is doing to fight the drug cartels side by side with us. I also want to thank some of the true heroes who are here today, who are on the front lines of fighting the drug cartels. Sheriff Mark Daniels in the back here. Colonel Jeffrey Glover, I think, is in the back from DPS. And Sherry Oz, the special agent in charge for the DEA here in Arizona. They are doing amazing work. I want to thank U.S. Attorney Gary Restaino for his ongoing partnership and collaboration between his office and the Attorney General's office. Our strong partnership means a great deal, and thank you, Mayor Gallego, for your partnership. Our work with local law enforcement agencies like the Phoenix Police Department and others, the Tempe Police Department, are critical to our efforts. Listen, Arizona has been flooded with cheap and deadly fentanyl in recent years, with over half of the fentanyl seized in the United States being seized in Arizona in 2022 and 2023. Let me repeat that. Half of all the fentanyl seized in the United States was seized right here in Arizona in recent years. The cartels use our ports of entry as their own personal postal service to send fentanyl to the rest of the nation. This devastating public health crisis has wrecked communities, harmed families, and pushed drug overdose deaths in Arizona to astronomical highs. Fentanyl overdoses are the leading cause of death for Americans between the ages of 18 and 45. And cartels are even targeting Arizona teenagers on social media with these cheap and deadly pills, and Arizona is seeing fentanyl overdoses in children as young as 14 years old. The Arizona Attorney General's office works closely with our federal and local partners to fight this crisis day in and day out, and we have seen an alarming rise in the amount of fentanyl seized, as I mentioned, in Arizona in recent years. In fiscal year 2022, 34 million fentanyl pills were seized in Arizona. In the first quarter of 2023, nearly as many pills were seized. About 80% of the prior year's numbers were seized in just 3 months. And as was just mentioned, fentanyl is a big business for the cartels, including the Sinaloa cartel, and that is why we are going after their financial operations and why it's such a critical part of the fight against these criminal syndicates. I want to also just take a moment and mention that we have folks here from our TRACK program. Arizona actually pioneered the effort to track money and as it's being wired from Arizona back to Mexico. We continue in those efforts. We will continue in those efforts to find out how they're sending their money and to try to stop it. And, through shared intelligence, resources, and strategic operations, we can target the cartel's infrastructure within our borders and beyond, as today's announcements show. So again, I want to thank the Treasury Department, the IRS, and the DEA, all of our federal partners, as well as our state, local law enforcement agencies for their work in fighting this crisis. And I want to take a moment and say this. I truly hope that this is the first in many steps that the federal government takes in helping us retake the border from the Mexican cartels. We need help. Our sheriffs need help. We need more attention by the federal government on the Arizona border. There is no doubt about that. And so that's why I recently went to the border with Representative Gallego to talk about the fact that the Biden administration had passed funding or had approved funding for X-ray scanners at our ports of entry, and yet Congress has done nothing to implement that machinery, those X-ray scanners. We need the federal government to be doing more to help our local law enforcement partners on the border. Every action that we take to fight these criminal syndicates flooding our communities with poisonous drugs, whether it's implementing sanctions like those announced today, seizing illicit pills, or arresting drug traffickers, is worthwhile, and we will not stop until we have dismantled these networks and restored safety and health to our communities. So thank you very much. Thank you again for coming.